Hi, welcome to the Friday night GLP-1 panel, Weighing What Matters. Second time, hopefully this works. So thank you guys so much for being here. My name is Sabrina, and you can find me as Brina_727 on all platforms. I am so appreciative that everyone's here and everyone who has stuck with us through our technical difficulties. Appreciate you guys. Y'all are the real ones. So I would like to quickly thank Dave for inviting the panel onto his platform on the pen. We are so grateful, and I am saying prayers for you, Dave. We are all rooting for you. So this panel has been on TikTok since the beginning of, I think, 2024. We've been doing the Friday night GLP-1 panel, recently named it Weighing What Matters. And it's always a pleasure getting to chat with some of our community members, and everyone who gets to share their voice is always just such a gift. So I would like to thank every single one of you for coming up and sharing your time and your voice. I'd like to thank everybody in the chat for joining us and sharing your voice as well. So tonight we are going to chat about our health, some of our wins, challenges, and weighing what matters. Jay, would you like to start introductions and where people can find you and a non-scale victory, please?
Hi, I'm Jay, and I am Virgo JV at almost all the places. You can find me on TikTok mostly. Sometimes here on YouTube. I'll be here under Virgo JV, and I am on Mount Jaro, and I am about 34% of my body weight down so far on this particular journey, and I'm 2 years in, so it's a lot to celebrate, of course.
What is going on with this stupid thing?
And then I absolutely want to celebrate the fact that for me, I am going to start seeing an obesity specialist, which is actually kind of exciting because one, I've suffered from obesity, lifelong obesity, and two, I just discovered that obesity specialists actually existed when I started this particular journey. So to get the opportunity to start working with one and find out more about the disease of obesity and the inner workings of it and the treatment options and just all the details, it has me really excited.
Thank you so much. Steve?
Hopefully, I'm not the one that causes it to go loopy again. Hi, I'm Steve. I'm 35. I'm in the UK. I'm a high school teacher. And I'm 53 weeks into my journey now, and I've lost 42% of my body weight so far on Monjaro. My non-scale victory for this week has been that I've been able to do a full day's worth of gardening without having to stop for 10 minutes or so at a time. So just more physical work being able to do with less breaks.
That's incredible. That's a huge non-scale victory. Did you say gardening?
Yeah. So I recently bought a house, and the weather's only now just getting nice to go outside and do stuff outside. So it needs completely landscaping, which I've started. So
congratulations. Congratulations on the home, and congratulations on being able to garden and landscape it. That's amazing. Jeff?
Hi, I'm Jeff. I'm 48. I'm just fresh on my journey. So, in the last 3 months, I just started. I have already hit 13% total body weight. I am circling the 50-pound milestone. I feel it any day now. But the big shocker for me was it's springtime, time for shorts and t-shirts, and they're too big, right? So I just got, moved from a 3X to a 2X, from a size 50 shorts to a size 42. So it's the perfect time to start anew, let's say. So yeah, I'm excited to be here, to share my experience and learn from everybody here sharing their experience. I'm happy to do the same.
Thank you so much, and congratulations.
Thank you.
That's it's a good problem to have, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a good problem because I know that for me, every time prior to this journey, summer would come around and I would put on my short, or I'd pull up my summer outfit or summer wardrobe, and it didn't fit. But it didn't fit because it was too tight every
Yeah.
single time.
It's so weird how long it took me to go from the 2X to 3X, the denial, and how quickly I was happy to go to the 2X, right? So
Yeah, for sure. So congratulations.
thank you.
You're welcome. Leah.
Hi, I'm Leah. You can find me Leah from TikTok, or when you search on TikTok, that's how you can find me. I have been taking compound tirzepatide for about a year now, and actually my 1 year anniversary was last week, so I am down 55 pounds and very excited. I think that my biggest non-scale victory, though, is that this medication has really helped me with my mental health. I feel like depression has lifted for me. And so just being able to engage in the world without that heaviness is really awesome.
That's incredible. That's amazing. Congratulations. Jess?
Hi, my name's Jess. You can find me at JessBM2 on TikTok, on Instagram. I'm also some of the other places as well. Most of those all linked for you. But I'm 47 years old. I'm going to be 48. I'm down 30% of my total body weight from my highest. Since I've been on this journey, I'm at about 22%. I started out on compounded tirzepatide, and then I went ahead because I am all in and went on to the savings card so I would have data that my physicians would recognize if I started to fight. And I have done that for almost a year and a half. Total journey's almost 2 years in August. I will say that the inflammation, the food noise, the ability to finally prioritize all the things and all the life choices that helped get me to where I was never able to process because my brain was so busy, filled with so many other things. And so finally, not only do I get the food noise, which was actually almost like obsession with trying to always plan my next meal, food prep, what else can I do better? Fix this, fix that. The continuous struggle with trying to figure out what I was going to be able to eat next that was the lowest calories, how many days I was going to have to spend at the gym, and the whole process. So the ability to not care, keep my food simple, just like I always have, prioritize all the things that are important, and finally start digging through why I got here and all the struggles that I've had. So the mental clarity, the loss of inflammation, the loss of the weight. I think I'm down like 63 pounds since I started compounded tirzepatide, 63 or 65. And just had an appointment with my doc this week. And so in a month, we're going to make some changes and we're going to go with those. And it's going to be a start and we'll see what happens next.
Congratulations. That's amazing. You're doing amazing. Jamie?
Everybody, I'm Jamie Selzler. You can find me mostly on TikTok. I think I'm the only Jamie Selzler in the world, so you can probably find me everywhere if you just search my name. But on TikTok, it's Jamselz, JAMSELZ, and then on Instagram, it's just my name, J, and then my last name. I have I feel like I'm doing a TikTok live introducing myself, every 3 minutes. But I my highest weight was 652 pounds, which I got to 3 years ago. I've lost 52% or 53% of my body weight, so I'm 317 now. And I started GLP-1s 2 years ago. I started with Wegovy for 6 months. Shortages, for those who've been on this a long time, remember those dark days. And then I was forced to switch to Zepbound, which in hindsight was very fortunate.
Mhm.
And I've been on Zepbound ever since. I was never going to talk about this with anybody. It was never my goal. Um, I live in North Dakota. I live in Fargo, North Dakota, and I'm fairly active, like politically, and I occasionally host a radio show. And so over time, I realized I just wanted to be an advocate for this type of medicine. In terms of non-scale victory, I should tell you, I just live in non-scale victories because I don't really believe in the scale. I very much am all about celebrating. So I'm going to give two quick ones. One is 2 days ago, I was hiking and I climbed a hill, and it was the highest hill I've ever climbed. I happened to be on live at the time, so I was able to make a post about it. But one I'm really excited about is an non-scale victory tomorrow. I'm going to make a pitch for this. I'm a huge advocate for people doing resistance training as they're losing weight. And so tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern time, I'm going to do a body weight exercise on live. I invite people to come and work out with me, and we'll just do it from home, and you'll be able to work out with stuff that you have around the house. And I'll prove to you that you don't have to go to a gym to lift weights, and you don't have any reason not to lift weights, because the stuff we're going to do tomorrow is stuff that I could have done at 600 pounds. So I'm excited for that non-scale victory tomorrow.
You're my new favorite person, Jamie. So for anyone who knows me, I talk about this all the time. I just think that it is of the utmost importance on any health journey, but especially this one. So resistance training, like what time, like I'm going to be there right there with you. Like what time are you doing your live?
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm super, super excited. Congratulations on all your success. That's incredible. And
Really saved my life very much. I mean, I don't think I'd be alive now, or at least if I were, it wouldn't be a very good existence if I hadn't found GLP-1s.
Yeah.
And Jay, an obesity specialist doctor as well.
Yeah. Misha? Misha, are you able to, I don't know if you're frozen or if you could hear us? Misha, could you hear us? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if it's not working for her.
Maybe having some more technical difficulties.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go. My name is Sabrina, and I have been on a GLP-1 for 23 months now, and I am down 34% of my body weight. I do not know how much I have lost pound-wise. Last time I checked was in January. That was the last time I was on the scale. I was down 91 from this journey. So I also do not, I no longer get on the scale. For me, it is detrimental for my health journey. I mean, and there are people who do, it works for them, but for me, it doesn't. It's just one measure, right? Like one measure on this health journey. So I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, and my A1C is controlled. And my non-scale victory is I had to travel last month, like over and over again. So I was on several flights, and there was zero anxiety, zero. There was, and for those, if you know, walking down the aisle and like for the passengers who were already seated, I would try and shrink my body as much as I could because inevitably I was hitting them, right? Like I was rubbing or like knocking into them with my body. And that would give me huge, huge anxiety. And I did it. And this moment was lost on me because when I went to go sit down and close my belt, there was a time where that belt didn't close or couldn't close. And I closed it and then pulled the strap out to my knees, to the end of my knee. And that's when it hit me. That was my non-scale victory. So it was just a very, very cool moment. Very cool moment. So, Misha?
I am having terrible service, so I'm going to do my little introductions and I'm going to get off because I can barely even hear you guys. I'm so sorry. I hate this, but
Oh,
maybe the next one I'll get in. I'll be home where I have more stable connection.
yes.
But I started my journey December 15 of 2023. Can y'all hear me? Because
Yes.
I don't see you guys.
Yes. Misha, if you could hear us, we can hear you.
Okay. So started December 15th, 2023. I'm down 69 pounds. You can find me on TikTok. I don't really post too much stuff. I'm more of a listener and a looker than anything else. But my NSV is my phone does not recognize my face anymore. So I have to reset my
Oh my God! That's amazing.
It's like every time I look at my phone, it's like, who this? I don't know you. So I'm having to reset my phone all the time.
I love that.
Yeah. So but it was wonderful being on here temporarily. So Sabrina, hit me up the next time and I'll be home with more better stable connection. Okay.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Misha,
All
because I
right.
really, really, really want to hear. I want you to share your voice. So next time, please join us.
Okay. Bye, guys.
All right. Bye. Thank you.
Sabrina, I actually have another non-scale victory that's very literal that you would appreciate, I guess.
May I hear it?
Yes. So I was cleaning today, as you know, and I may have gotten rid of 2 scales.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing.
So none scales.
Can
So
we
they're-
could we let everyone know how many you used to own?
there may have been a point where there were 5 scales in my home at some point.
This guy right here. This guy right here.
Stop it.
You can't just trust a scale.
Yeah,
I mean, come on.
totally agree with you.
Trust it.
Well, I am very, very proud of you. Very proud of you. So
But did
I
any
still
of
have
you
a travel
have the
scale.
My Way XL 700 that had a 700-pound capacity? That's the
No.
real question. That's rarefied air there.
The
only
elite scale.
only me and Jamie from TikTok are the owners of those scales, I think, in the world.
wow. Yeah, I got rid of like for my breakup with the scale was, so this is, I think it was like the end of, maybe it was in September. That's what it was. It was in September of 24. I got on the scale and it was 187. And then the very next day, the very next morning, I got on and it was 191. And I'm like, that's not real. Like this this is not a thing, like it's not even physically possible to consume that amount of calories, right? So then I'm like, I'm done with this. And then because I weight train, right? And then when you lift heavy, your body floods itself with water. And it, so you see that number go up and I'm like, I'm done. Like I'm going to focus on body recomp. And that's what it is. So then the next time I had gotten on a scale, was I think in like December, maybe. And I had lost 2 pounds. So then I'm like, all of those non-scale victories would have been lost. So from September to December, I went down 2 jean sizes, but I had lost 2 pounds on the scale, right? All those wins would have been gone. I would not have, because if I would have just been focusing on that number, as I had been for this entire, I was chasing this number, chasing this number. Now I'm like, I'm chasing that body, right? So I am no longer looking at that scale because it has nothing to do with what I'm trying to achieve. So
But I will say though, what freed me from worrying about weight was weighing myself every day. Because to me, it's a number, it changes, goes up in the morning, it goes down some days. It means nothing to me in that day, right? So I sort of look forward to what am I going to learn today, right? But it's the long vision that I really look for. So I totally understand where people don't want to weigh, but for me, it was a freeing to just think about it as data.
I love that because there are people like Shannon, like it's just data. It's just data. But for me, it was
Totally.
all that work. I'm like,
Yeah.
I felt like my body was betraying me. I'm like, how dare you? You know? So like for me, it was messing with my mental health. So I had to step away. But
I
love
really struggle with seeing myself in a smaller body, and so that scale actually gives me that verification that I have actually lost weight for me. I'm still buying clothes that are 2-3 sizes bigger because that's what I see myself as still. So for me, weighing myself every day, which I do to see that trend that's going on, gives me that sort of positive momentum to keep going, I think, for that one.
Well, you lost a massive amount of weight in a very short period, right? So for people who we say like the turtle club, right? Like where you slower, your mind almost has time to catch up with the physical changes. But when you have these huge, like I would say like a hyper responder, right? For those of you who are hyper responders, like your mind doesn't have time to catch up with what your body is doing.
No, I've lost 180 pounds in a year, effectively. And yeah, it's just trying to catch up. I don't see myself in the size that I am. So it's that scale for me is that one to go, just keep watching.
Be careful though, Steve, because Sabrina will force you to clean out your closet if you aren't careful of the incorrect sizes.
Oh, Steve, I'm writing a note, like him and I are going to chat about this. All those larger sizes, they have got to go because we are not, why do they have to go, guys? Because we're not going back, right? We're not going back. So Steve, it's time to wrap it up. Like get rid of those clothes.
Springtime cleaning.
Well, I've got one coat that I really like, one jacket, and I started off in a 6XL, and I'm finally down to wearing an XL. But I've got all the others in between as well. So I've got like 6 coats now hanging up, all the same, just in every single size going down. So I probably do need to get rid of them.
Yes, absolutely. I completely forgot to do the church announcements before we did the panel introductions, but we got, so I'm just going to very quickly blow through the technical difficulty kind of threw me for a loop. But obviously, let's be respectful of each other. If anyone is interested in being a guest on the panel, please go to onthepen.com/Sabrina and fill out the interest form. If you would like to watch any of these previously recorded lives that we've done a handful of them at this point, and that is at glp1panel.com. We will be doing On the Pen lives once a month moving forward. I know that we were doing it every other week, but moving forward, we're going to do it once a month here and then once a month on TikTok as well. So if you have not already purchased Dave's book, What Are You Doing With Your Life? That can be, you can get that at glpbook.com. But does anybody have anything else that they would like to add? Okay. So are you guys ready to just kind of get started jumping on the questions?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, because we've got some really good. Well, I'm going to save Misha's because she's going to be here next time. So we are going to go with Steve. we're going to go with Steve's question. So Steve wants to know, when you first started your GLP-1 journey, what were your initial expectations regarding weight loss and overall impact? And how have those expectations aligned or differed from your actual experience? Steve, do you want to go first? Everyone always gets mad when I tell them to answer their own question first.
Absolutely. So I think for a lot of people, I've been yo-yoing dieting for 20 odd years or so, right from the end of secondary school back in 2005. So about 20 years or so, struggling with my weight, done Weight Watchers, shakes, Slimming World, all those sorts of things that are available here in the UK. Lots of people have done keto and those sorts of things, but I've lost it, put it back on, and I mean, we have a really good health system here in the UK anyway, but I'm in a really privileged position where I can get private healthcare as well. So I've gone through my private healthcare and spoke to the doctor about potential surgery and those sorts of things. When he recommended actually trying GLP-1s, and I was really skeptical. You know, I can last on a diet probably 2, 3, 4 months. And then I restrict myself so much that I end up binging and just completely disregarding it altogether. So I sort of agreed to going on that after sort of doing all the blood works and those sorts of things. And I said, right, I'll give it 3 months. Effectively, that's how long I tend to last on normal diets or changes of what I've been trying to do. And I wasn't very hopeful at all. You know, it's the same thing that I've tried something, it hasn't worked. I just don't know what to do. Let's go with the more drastic option, try surgery and literally cut half my stomach out and see how that goes. So started it at 2.5. I mean, we're talking in the UK when Mounjaro came out a year and a half ago, thereabouts. So it hadn't been out as long here as it had been or readily available in the US. So I went on to that. First month, I'd lost 22 pounds in the first month, and then continued 12, 13 pounds the second, and then on to the third month. I was absolutely blown away by what it had done for me. I hadn't restricted myself like I had done on previous diets. If I wanted something, I just had a much smaller amount of it. And for me, I know it's a bit cheaper over here in the UK anyway, but part of it was mentally thinking that I'm actually paying for this on a private prescription. And so that's 180, 190 pounds, $250 or something, that I need to put the effort in to try and keep up with it. And we got to the end of the third month, July, and I was just like, I'm sold. You know, I'm absolutely sold with what this medication can do. And I was one very much to shy away, not admit what I was. You know, my heaviest, I was 429 pounds. Didn't go out and socialize or anything like that. And actually, confidence-wise, just by taking this medication is just shot through the roof, I think. So in terms of meeting expectations, it certainly exceeded that for me on there. And yeah, I'm one of those that goes about shouting about the wonders of this drug now. Mm-hmm. Where I work, there's 4 or 5 others that have now started as well and seeing similar responses to it as well. So there's a whole group of us that are working together where we work. But yeah, I mean, I think you just get blindsided by where you're at, where you're heaviest, and you just try and avoid seeing yourself in that light and go into denial. But yeah, certainly after the first month, I was sold. By the third month, I was absolutely there and sort of signed up for it long term. And I was like, right, this is what I need to do. So yeah, in terms of expectations, I didn't have much at all. I thought I'd end up falling off the wagon, as they say. But in the 53 weeks, I've had 2 gains of £1 and £2 and 1 maintain, and everything else has been a loss for me. So
that's great.
It's absolutely changed my life in terms of what this medication could do.
That's incredible. That you're like the poster child for it, right? Like your body is like, yes, I need this GLP-1, and then it like just almost like aligned with what it needed to do, you know?
I know for me, the expectation part was non-existent, and it wasn't because I had been disappointed so many times. I had been. It's not because I had gained and lost and gained a bunch of times. I had, but it's just I didn't have time to set expectations. Like I discovered the medication existed, and then within 24 hours, it was in my hands and
Wow.
injected into my body, and so I didn't have time to mentally set expectations. I just knew that there were numbers and studies out there that showed that Manjaro had greater loss than Wegovy did. And I was like, okay, that works for me. And so what my expectations were, nothing, but it's worked out well for me at this point. So going in with no expectations, I don't recommend that for all of life, but for in this instance, it worked out.
Yeah. Anybody else?
For me, the
I think for
Oh.
me,
okay, go for it. Okay.
Jeff, go ahead.
Okay, sorry. So for me, I thank my wife for introducing me to the idea of a GLP-1. It was all her research. It was everything that really led me down that path. And I can remember when I first met my doctor, and she was very nice, telling me, you know, everything about it. And I had a little information through my wife, and I remember the words, I have one more try, right? Because excuse me, I've been down the road before, right? And I didn't know that I could do it again. And it's a lifelong obesity person. That's definitely me. Okay. And now seeing it, like it changed my whole outlook on possibilities. And that's changed my going into this. The community is what brought it out in me to be an advocate, to be a person who wants to share this journey. So my expectations were low. My realities were above that, and that's why I enjoy talking about these. Even though I'm only shortly in this, it's I'm a lot more optimistic now.
That's amazing.
You said the O word, Jeff, and I think that diminishes things. You know, only you are doing an amazing job at this point in your journey, and you should be proud of shouting from the rooftops. So,
Thank you.
no, only you're doing great and telling your story from the point where you are. Somebody needs to hear it. Exactly from the point where you are.
Exactly. Yep.
Thank you.
Leah?
so for me, I came from a world of lifelong dieting. I have dealt with this obesity since I was a child. And so I grew up, I don't know how old everyone is, but I grew up I graduated 2007. And so it was during that height of the Nicole Richie, Misha Barton, like very skinny girl.
Yeah.
And so I had such a background of just like issues with food and things like that. And so in those diets, I was able to lose weight very rapidly, but in a very unhealthy manner. And so when I first heard about this medication, I think I was very much still in that 2007 mindset. And in my head, this was going to be a tool to help me with that same like path, I guess. And so when I started, I didn't realize the way that it was going to change me in such a positive way, where that no longer was the mindset. And so I think that being a part of this community and having access to the medication and the way that the medication reacts in my body, I can't have those behaviors because it's fixing all of the things that I had issues with. And so I know for me, I said it at the very beginning, but the GLP-1 GIP, for me, that GIP is such a huge piece of it because it's affecting the mental part of it and that addiction center for me too.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I started, I initially thought I was going to go into this, I was going to lose 160 pounds in like 8 months, 4 months, like these astronomical ideas. And then along the way, I realized, hey, your whole life, that mindset has been the thing that's been keeping you in this pattern.
Mm-hmm.
And so this has been the first time that I've been able to break out of that and don't feel like I need those shackles anymore.
I love that. It's so freeing. I mean, that's a huge, huge win. I mean, to shift that mentality that we've had for our entire lives, right? That's huge.
I love that you're talking about breaking patterns because
Mhm.
that's what it's been with those like lose gain cycles, and then losing in unhealthy ways. Like there are patterns that we develop without even realizing we were developing them.
Yep.
But to recognize that we're breaking them now, that's huge.
Powerful. It's powerful. I same, you guys. Like I did the whole 3 months, and I and anyone who has obesity knows like the up and down, right? Like the 30, gain 45, that whole song and dance. But when I would lose that 30, it was through deprivation, through restriction, through doing 2.5 hours of cardio a day, like a crazy person, and but then I could sustain that, like that level of like inhuman like effort for about 3 months. Mine was also about 3 months. And I'm like, I can't live like this.
You have limits. You have limits.
I mean, and it was always about the 3 month mark where my body, like my mind, my heart was like, I'm done with this. So I'm 23 months in now, and I don't feel this has been the healthiest I've ever felt, like mentally, physically. Like I just feel like I'm in a good place. I don't feel like I'm white knuckling it. I feel good. So
I'm impressed you had 3 months. I had 3 days. I always tell people that I had hundreds of 3 great days. I had hundreds of really good Mondays and Tuesdays.
mhm.
And by Wednesday, it's like I've had a couple good days, and this is hard, and maybe just this one, maybe one little cheat meal,
Yeah.
or maybe today's the day I just sort of sit around all day. So I had so many 3 great days over the years,
Yeah.
and now it's like 3 great years. So it's just a whole different world.
That makes me want to cry. That's so amazing.
Jamie, are you talking about that vibe of, okay, I messed up on Wednesday, I can just restart next Monday? That
I mean,
vibe?
that's definitely the vibe. In terms of me for expectations, I'm really similar to a few of you. I had no expectations. I was uh, 43, and I realized I wasn't going to see 50. Like there's no way I was going to live to 50. Which isn't even the worst part. The worst part was like my quality of life was going to be so bad. I was heavier than the people on my 600-pound life. Like that's kind of, and I was aware of what that meant in terms of my quality of life. And so when I started this, there was really no expectations. I assumed I would lose some weight. I'd lost weight before. I had a lot of hope, but I didn't. The whole time, I didn't really care so much about the weight because, I mean, it got to 650 pounds. Throughout that period, I didn't. There was many opportunities to care about the weight, and I didn't. And so for me, it was just like, am I gonna move a little bit better? I needed to have a walker to walk around. I needed a walker to get up off the toilet. And so it was just like my only expectation was like maybe I'll just feel a little bit better. And what has surprised me about all this is here I am, and I legitimately see myself as an athlete. I mean, a big athlete, but uh, I am someone who is a weightlifter. I am someone who walks 12,000 to 15,000 steps a day. Those are not things that I do. That's just who I am. And I did not expect to be fundamentally changed in that way. I'm glad I didn't look at the scale. I lost nothing the first 3 months on GLPs. And since then it's actually I'm losing faster now than I ever have in the last few months. And so I'm glad I had no expectations going in. Because if I would have expecting weight loss right away, like that's like half the reason I'm on social media is to try to tell people that you should expect nothing, um, as far as numbers on a scale go. Because if that were my expectations, I would have thought I failed and gave up. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've talked about this in the past, right? Like that's what the media highlights, right?
Yeah.
The media highlights someone who's lost massive amounts of weight. So then when that goes out to the public's like, well, I could also lose massive amounts of weight, right? Like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds. And that's incredible because that does happen for people, right? It does happen for people, but it's not the norm. It's not
Right.
the like blanket norm for people. And so when they go in and they're like, I've only lost 12 pounds this month. And I'm like, what? What did you just say? You know, like when have you ever said that sentence before in your life? You know, because I know I haven't. But it's because of that. It's because of this. I feel like that's what people are. But that's how they're bringing people in, right? Like by these massive numbers. And then, but Jamie, I also try and really drive home that every person's, journey is different. Some experience massive numbers. Some don't experience anything at all. Like your metabolic dysfunctions, like if you're a type 2 diabetic, like it's working on your A1C before it's doing anything else, so I'm a very big, like very, very, I try to drive that home a lot as well, like hammer it home.
So the smartest thing someone could do is throw away the scale for the first couple of months they're using this and just focus on the things they can control and not the scale. That's the way to guarantee success, assuming the medications work for you.
Yes. I agree with that. And there's certain things that I feel like are non-negotiable. And for those of you who don't know, like I focus a lot of my content on social media geared towards people who are just coming into this space, because I feel like there needs to be a safe space for people to land where, we're not going to judge you and we'll try and guide you, but not give you medical advice, just encourage you and love you and support you. So I think that's trying to ask people to step away from a lifelong relationship with the scale is very difficult. But I also try to encourage people to focus on, hitting their protein, calorie, fiber, hydration, and sleep.
I do think that social media does skew the expectation because people post about the wins, right? The victories. And if you're starting out, it's hard not to have the expectation that I want those things too. I'm going to, and when I don't, and I do talk to a lot of people, DMs and one-on-one, who said, hey, I'm not losing. What am I doing wrong? And I have to say, like, that's normal. Like, it really is normal. Just because I may have posted, hey, I've lost this or I've done this, you can't have that expectation. Everybody's different. And I usually refer back to the clinical data, right? Was it, the percentages of people who lost that are not huge. It's not a large number, right? So setting that expectation that you may get it quick, you may get it slow, it doesn't matter. It's your process.
Your journey. Absolutely.
Yeah, your journey.
But in defense of people that post to social media, because I have to be that guy. When you do post about hey, this week was flat on the scale, or you post about, it's normal to lose half a pound to 2 pounds a week at maximum. That's the rate you want to lose in. Your views are garbage. People don't share it. People don't engage with it. People don't want to hear that. They want to hear the big wins. And unfortunately, that's what spreads, and that's what does such a disservice. So spaces like this where we pop those bubbles and share out the reality of the situation makes a difference.
I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. Like, I don't really make sensational content, right? Like, I don't do like the thing. I mean, like I'm trying to share what Jay was just talking about, like stay encouraged, but nobody wants to hear that. They want to hear, how am I going to lose more? Like, how fast and how much, for those of you who go live every single time, how much and how fast. right? So, but I do, for those of you who share your wins, I just ask that you also share when you don't, when you don't lose. Just
I
we could level it.
I will just touch on that question. And for some of you guys who are maybe don't see a whole lot of me, because I'm definitely one who kind of keeps it really real. Sometimes maybe a little too real. So
Never too real.
the good, the bad, all the things in between. But, for me, when I was at my highest weight at 360, I had opted for lap band surgery. And I had that surgery. It worked out great. I lost 125 pounds. It was the first time probably in my whole life I ever felt full, except for at year 5 when the lap band eroded my stomach. And it had to be emergently removed. I was super septic. And 6 months later, after I had left from the hospital, they found a small hole in my esophagus. And so my stomach had to be splinted open. And I really didn't eat a whole lot for about the next 4 to 6 months. I'm so extremely grateful to be here. And when I went on this journey, I kind of just felt like there was nothing left to lose. And so when I heard that people were taking this medication, I was like, could it work for me? It is an option. And of course, at first I tried the thought process of Wegovy. That wasn't covered. But then the more I thought about Wegovy and the more I thought about the way my chest and the way my stomach is now designed, my stomach doesn't look the same. If you look at a time capsule where you have the slow drain of sand that goes from the top to the bottom, that would be what my stomach looks like. I don't eat a lot at any given time period because it would cause my chest too much discomfort. And so I had learned how to eat differently a long time ago just because of the way it made me feel, but my body still wasn't really responding. So I knew I had pushed it at the gym. I spent 5 days a week at the gym. I gave myself a really nice post hernia, post all this other stuff. And so when I went into this journey, it was like, I have nothing left to lose. I knew I couldn't afford to pay the full price. I did not know about the Monjaro savings card at that time. Some of my girlfriends had been able to get that. And when I started asking questions, I found out that, oh, wait, I can get compounded. And, I had to really have a really big talk with myself about what my expectations needed to be and what my journey needed to look like. I told myself we are actually going to think about things differently. I work in a hospital. I built the shelves to build the shelves to the COVID floor. I'm a respiratory therapist, so I was all in. So I've always been active. But through this journey, I've made a lot of changes, and I told myself, my journey is going to look different, which made it very hard some days because, comparison is the thief of joy. And oh my gosh, I've never had to embrace that so much in my life during this journey, right? Because, my stomach doesn't look like everybody else's. My food doesn't look like everybody else's. How much I eat. Oh, and then let's throw in there menopause, because on top of having, chronic obesity, then you start to actually do fishing. Like I had already done fishing. Like one of my metabolizers just doesn't work right. So certain heart medications doesn't work well for me. I have to have a certain amount because some things don't work right. And then you walk into this and compounded terzepatide is fixing my insulin resistance. For the first time, I am not all swollen. And then boom, by the way, you have no estrogen. So then you start to think about all the other possibilities, okay? Because, chronic obesity is now so much more complex.
Mhm.
And there's so much for each one of us that works differently.
Mhm.
And having to accept that was hard. You know,
Mhm.
like I had lost so much weight over and over my whole life.
Is she frozen for you guys? Okay.
Yeah. It was
Yes.
so good.
Yeah, just I know.
If you don't see me, my
Got you back.
there we go. But so I had to tell myself about what my journey was going to look like. So I have not cut out everything. I do have things in small amounts, but I am always mindful about my protein. Probably even still now, my journey, I still struggle. Me and water, we have an agreement.
Speaking of water check.
There we go. But I had to keep it real. And so I think my journey's a little bit slower this time, but it's definitely given me plenty of time to be able to do the mental work that it needed to do.
That's amazing. I love that. For me, my expectations on this, I mean, it varied, right? Like, I was hopeful that I would lose. I was praying that my A1C would come down. But what I was most interested in is because I was very much in the community, like listening to lives. I mean, for those of you who like got into like the TikTok side of the GLP-1 community, it very quickly can become your entire life. So I was spending hours a day watching lives and learning and listening to people's stories and their testimonies and stuff like that. And when I heard just a common thread of the pain reduction, that for me that's what I was prayerful for, because I, like Jamie, I also could not move without pain. My pain threat, like it was unbearable. So when people said that, it very quickly, within months, their pain went down. I prayed. I was like, Lord, please, if it's anything, can it please be that? Can it please be that? Because I also have lost hundreds of pounds throughout my life, hundreds of pounds, and gained it all back plus more. But so when that happened for me, when that pain just slowly left my body and I could walk without pain, I walk without having to take ibuprofen. I mean, thank you. Thank you, God. Thank you, Manjaro. Thank you, GLP-1. But so, yes, the weight loss part of it is great. It's amazing. Love that. Love it. I've done it. I've lost weight many times in my life, but I have never, ever not been in pain.
That surprised me the most. With not knowing that was possible, I had a gym injury many years ago on my shoulder. Every night it hurt. I lived on it for years. I talked to my doctor about surgery, that it might be something I have to get, and then I started the medications, and it just slowly faded away that I forgot about it. Like, it just blew my mind.
Yeah, I had really bad plantar fasciitis in my feet, where it was brutal to walk. And I had the boot and all the things, a towel next to my bed so I could like pull my foot towards me before I could even step on it. Right. Like, and then when I stopped doing that, I was like, well, I was halfway to my bathroom. I was like, what? Yeah. I could walk. I was like, this is incredible. So that for me was, so my expectation was met, I guess, for that part of this journey. So.
I mean, I used to be taking ibuprofen every day, really bad knees at my heaviest. And it was, I mean, I've still got boxes in the cupboard that I haven't used since being on the medication because I just don't need them anymore. Even getting out of bed or getting off the sofa, it was just, I just rocked myself normally just to try and get the momentum to get me up. And then it would take me 3 or 4 minutes to walk away from the sofa, just because my knees were in such bad shape. And now I'm up and down all over the place without having to take the ibuprofen. So yeah, absolutely, it's certainly helping with the pain side and the inflammation side. So.
Yeah, I ibuprofen. That's how I got through my day. Was a lot of it. But okay. So we're gonna go to Jay's question next. Jay wants to know, besides a number on the scale, what will be your ultimate measure of success? Jay, I'm going to do it, even though you don't want me to. I'm going to ask you first.
I don't have an answer. Yeah. But what I can say for me, it'll be a measure of confidence. The way I started this journey was really about fear. It was fear that I wouldn't be alive to chase and tackle all the things that I envisioned myself being able to. And so when I have that full confidence that I will live to see those goals accomplished, that will be my ultimate victory, where I will be like, okay, I succeeded on this journey that I started for the reason I started this journey. The number on the scale will be a bonus, I guess, but ultimately it'll be that measure of confidence that I can pursue things and know that I'll be around to see the fruits of those labors pay off.
Love that. Steve?
It's a really tricky one for long term. I mean, I've never been athletic at all. I've always been overweight, obese, and I'm actually smaller now than I was when I was at secondary school. So just getting around that and setting smaller goals, more short term. And so for me, my success for this academic year as a teacher, during our sports day event, we do something called the Wayland K, which is a 1 kilometre run, or it's 2.5 laps around the athletic track, where the whole school takes part. And I've been at the school now for 6 years, and I've always opted out. I've stayed on the sound desk because I normally do the visual and audio side of things. I've never actually walked because I've never been able to. So my measure of success for this year, in terms of after being on it for 18 months, or 15 months, or 16 months, is I'm determined to run that kilometre without even walking it ever before. So I've been sort of training the last couple of months just to try and build the stamina up. I mean, even at university, the most athletic I got was doing fencing because it was the least energetic sport that I could do. So yeah, it's short-term goal. It's going to be trying to run a kilometre with the whole school watching me. I think that's going to be the big thing. I'm confident I'll be able to do it at this stage. Long term, I've got no idea what the goal will be, really. But yeah, just bite-sized chunks. Let's do small things first.
Yeah. We're going to need a video for when you... I need content around this, Steve, okay?
Yeah. It's not till July, so I've got a little while yet.
Yeah, but when it happens, though, we definitely need to see a video on it, okay?
You can tell
Absolutely.
Sabrina's a true TikToker because everything's a content opportunity.
That's right.
Jamie, everything's content. Everything.
Yeah.
I get it. I've only done it a month. I understand. I get it.
See, I've never made it over to TikTok or Instagram or anything like that. So I've literally been on. I've only been on YouTube for like 6 weeks. So it's like,
come over to the dark side. Jamie, what would your ultimate what's your ultimate measure of success?
This is Jay, this is a really good question. I feel like I spend so much of my life thinking about this whole thing, but I've never actually pondered that question. I've said stuff like not having to use a CPAP machine anymore, but those are, which will be great. But I've really tried to think about it here the last couple of minutes. I think uh, I've been obese or overweight since I was 9 at various levels. I've been well over 500 for 25 years. And being very big is like a core aspect of my personality. And I'm sure it has for some of you as well, where it is just ingrained in who you are. Um, and I know that in medical terms, we should be looking at this stuff like someone is not obese, they have obesity, they have overweight. But the reality is, if you have it for so long, that's who you are.
Part of your
I was a very overweight guy. And so now that I'm, I used to say I was like extremely big. I said, no, I'm just like your middle-aged fat guy. And getting better, but I still I do not see myself as big now. I actually never did before either, which is sort of the problem. I have reverse body dysmorphia, I think. Anyway, I think for me the ultimate measure is going to be I will not feel compelled to talk about this anymore. Like, I want to tell people because I'm excited and I'm happy. And so when I meet a stranger for the first time or anything like that, like I kind of want to talk about this. Part of it's to hopefully like inspire some, but part of it's also to celebrate my own accomplishments. But I think when I look in the mirror or talk to someone and they have no clue how big I was, and I don't even think about how big I was at one point, I think that will be an ultimate measure of success. I don't know when that will come, and if it never happens, that's okay. I won't consider it a failure because it's hard to change a core part of your personality that's been a part of that personality your entire life. I'm 46. But I think that'd be a worthy, exciting thing to have happen in my life.
That's pretty amazing. I guess I have a follow-up question for you, if I may, Jamie.
Yeah.
Are you scared that when you reach that point, because I have faith that you will reach that point, even if you aren't completely sure, I have faith you will. But are you scared that you'll lose anything else about your personality once you reach that point?
No, I'm like the king of Leos. So I'm not too worried about losing other. I mean, it's a totally fair question. Um, when you're very big, like I always try to be the funny guy, as I'm sure a few of you have as well. And I don't think I'm going to lose that. No, I'm not. I'm not all that worried. I have replaced a lot of that stuff, the food noise and the thinking I was big. I've just replaced with now just fitness and health, and that's like my new person and TikTok. And that's only for a month, but that's like my personality now.
Yeah.
And maybe that's not good either, but it's certainly healthier than what it was before.
I was gonna say you're discovering new things that you probably didn't think you would do, right? And maybe they become, that next story in that, personality that when you're moving beyond the focus on weight.
Making content for social media, like on TikTok, is, if none of you really know me, if you really did, you know that is the polar opposite of who I am. And I cringe at every minute of every day that I'm doing it. But to Sabrina, your point earlier, there are 20,000 people in the United States starting these medications every week, and they're getting not good information from their providers, and they're showing up to TikTok. That's where they're showing up, because these are often going to be women who are middle-aged, and that's where they go and for their information. And so it's really it's why I'm doing what I'm doing. It's incumbent on those of us who have the ability or platform to try to help those people, because they're not getting it anywhere else. So I'm trying to work through the cringiness of all of this, because I think there's a bigger purpose to it.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure you're selling it. I'm not sure you're selling TikTok or anything to me.
Oh, no, no, not TikTok. My cringiness. No, I feel cringy when I do it. No, I've been on TikTok for years. I love it.
Yeah. No, but Jimmy, I agree with that. Like you said, 20,000 people are starting this class of medication. And oftentimes, like you said, the doctor just hands them the medication. I mean, doesn't say a word about protein, like hydration, like fiber, all the things, and so they come to TikTok, and that's why we do what we do. That's why we keep showing up, because at the end of the day, for those of us who do create content, I mean, I know for me, my North Star has always been to help people, always. So I see you, Jamie. I see you on there helping people. I mean, you show up. You show up every single day, and I appreciate you. I do.
Yeah. A prescription and a
Thank you.
dream. That's how I describe it. That's what they have when they come to TikTok. They have a prescription and a dream.
Yeah.
That's a good
Yeah.
way of putting it. That's a good way of putting it.
That's exactly what it is. So, Leah, what's your measure of success? What's your ultimate measure of success?
Wearing shorts in public. That's a very sorry. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
I am having a little bit of technical difficulty.
We got you, honey.
I'm not sure if you can, but I'm gonna keep talking.
We're good.
Yep. Yes.
Okay.
We can hear you.
So wearing shorts in public, number one. Once I can do that, I feel like that's like a level of confidence that I just haven't had in probably 10 years. And then if you follow my TikTok, if you've been in a live that I've been in before, something that I talk about a lot is that my body has really held me back from dating and feeling like I am like worthy of like love or that connection. And so I think at the point that I am able to confidently get on the dating apps and feel like, oh, someone might actually find me attractive, that's when I know that like my ultimate shift has happened.
Leah,
I want you to know that when you get there, you'll feel better, but you should know you are worthy of love, regardless of your size. You are worthy of love at your heaviest and your lightest, at your youngest and your oldest. Like, you are worthy of love all the time, and you're worthy of love right now. And so part of that is learning that you have to love yourself. And I think that's what you're discovering right now. And I think as you're on that journey, you're going to maybe find a way to let others learn to love you as well. But don't put the worthiness of love in the future. Leah's worthy of love today, and she was worthy of love 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I think it comes back to perception, though, doesn't it, as well?
Jamie, I really wish I could hear the things you just said.
Oh,
because it's touching for me, but
that was so good.
I caught a little.
You're gonna have to go to the
caught
recording.
a little bit at a time, and so I know that it was good, and I know that it was so kind. So thank you for those words. Someone filled me in afterwards.
Oh, it was so good. Okay, Steve, what were you saying?
I was just saying that I totally agree with what Leah's been saying. Actually, the last 10 years or so, I've been putting my career first rather than relationships, because that's the one thing I know I can focus on, that I know I can possibly succeed at, rather than finding a relationship, because I didn't love myself. I didn't have that sort of self-appreciation. And it's only now that I'm starting to find out who I am, me, the new me anyway, and starting to build on that sort of confidence, going out there a little bit and trying to see what is out there going forward.
I'm excited for you guys. That's it's a big deal. It's a very big deal.
I mean, the reality of the situation is it's a cruel world that we live in, and it's not meant for people in larger bodies. Not to be in physically, not to be in emotionally. It's just a really tough world. And so just to have the confidence to put yourself out there at any size, especially a larger size, it's work on top of work, you know?
It's hard. It is hard. You know, when you guys were talking about like loving yourself, and, you know, I'm very grateful to my husband, because he loved me when I couldn't love myself, when I didn't love myself. He loved me through all of it, and supported me. And he would try to talk to me about, one time he brought up my health, and I'm like, don't talk about my body. And he's like, no one's talking about your body, Sabrina. And he's like, I'm worried about your health. And I was like, well, don't talk about my health. So, but I am so grateful to him for loving me when I couldn't love myself. And he's still like cheering for me, still pushing me and cheering for me. And so I am very grateful to him for that. I'm working on the self-love and got a therapist and everything. So I am trying to get better, guys.
It is hard. It is the hardest
Yeah.
part. Like I'm here now, but I've been through what I call my weight loss errors, right? I was obese as a kid, the husky kid, the high school. In my 20s, I hit the gym twice a day. I got really fit, and I knew what it felt like, the difference, right? I felt that the world sees me different, right? And I understand that what I thought was freeing was there, but then as it slips away, right? You know what that's like, and then it slips away and away and away, right? And I met my wife, at probably my healthiest, let's call it, part of my life, over 20-some years ago, and she has been there with me the entire time.
I love that. That's amazing. Give her a hug for me.
Yes.
I gotta say, I don't really know how to answer that yet, Jay. That is a really good question. And it's one I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, and I just don't know what that looks like. I will say that I feel like this will always be a journey. There's so much inner work. I will say that I've noticed little things that are starting to, when you've lost weight, gained weight, lost weight, gained weight. There's been times people talk about maybe no longer seeing yourself in the body, the body dysmorphia, different things. And throughout the years that I have lost weight and gained weight, I had an experience with my mom. We were both in college. She was taking some college classes while I had just getting ready to finish up. And I had been in a really big body, and then I had lost, a great deal of weight. And my mom didn't realize who I was when I walked by. And I will just say that I experienced a lot of different changes through that. And I will say just recently, because I have always identified myself as being in that bigger body, that when someone looks at me or maybe they're in a bigger body, or maybe they're like, why do you think that kind of a look I've experienced recently? And I'm like, okay, we're getting back to this place. So I think for the answer to your question, for me, it's going to be a lot of changes that's going to basically build up until a point when I finally accepted the fact that I've gotten there, that everything is just synced up. And I think it'll always be a continuous process. I really do. For some of us that have lived in the bigger bodies for so long, I think there will always be moments of still feeling that way. But I think there's going to be a lot more sync times where everything just goes home, and I think that's success is knowing that you can still identify with both and be thankful, be humble, and still continue to be our best selves, whatever that is for each one of us.
Yeah.
That has me thinking, when you talk about like always being in a larger body, or having a lifetime in a larger body, I guess another measure for me is when someone would rather bite off their own tongue than call me big guy ever again. That would be nice. Like being called big guy, it never feels comfortable. It's
Yeah.
It's so rude. I'm sorry. I think it's so rude when people say that. It's just, I mean,
it distills you to that one thing.
Mhm.
right? And like it just takes everything to me. That's how I agree with you.
Yeah, it reduces you to that one
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, I think it's rude, but
I mean, right through high school, in our friendship group there were two Steves. So there was Mini Steve and there was me that was Big Steve. And that's just something for the last 25 years that every time we've had meetups, it's Big Steve's here. It's like, and so that's been ingrained in over time that I'm trying to get out of my head that maybe I'm not the big person that they saw me as either. And actually, the smaller Steve is getting close to being the same size as me now, so it's going to be interesting at the next meetup to see where we're at. But it's that build up over time, that confirmation of this is who you are, amongst friends that you'd think is friends, that was harmless initially, that you think, but 25 years later, it still sort of resonates in your head that this is who you are.
It seems affectionate, or it seems like it could be affectionate, right?
Yeah.
But there's a little bit of malice and judgment in it, though.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, absolutely.
That's right behind the surface of it.
No more, Steve. They cannot call you Big Steve anymore. Like that's enough. That's enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's just shake as said earlier, shaking those shackles that we've been tied down with for so long, and just freeing ourselves from what has been in the past. It's trying to break free.
Absolutely. I mean, I think there's a lot to be said about the fact that, just because you've lived in a bigger body doesn't mean that that's how you should be associated your whole life. And it doesn't mean that when you get to a spot where you've turned into your best self, no matter where that is, that there's always, sometimes those people out there who want to remind you of, where you were. And truthfully, Jay, don't you think it really says more about them, right? It says more about the kind of people they are when they want to say those things, especially if they know you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a stab. I feel like it's
absolutely
lashing out.
Absolutely. There will be people who are not happy that you are chasing your most healthiest version of yourself, right? There are people that are mad as hell that you have lost weight.
Yeah. I think because it tells them what they haven't done, maybe what they want to do, and you're doing it. And that's where I think there's a little bit of a animosity that comes out, and it appears in those statements, phrases.
Yeah.
I think it's important as we're talking about, though, we have to examine, have we ever been that person?
Yeah,
in the past?
Absolutely.
I know I was with a certain friend of mine. I know I was that person, not intentionally, and not to be cruel, but it's a human reaction sometimes to feel like you're being left behind.
And sometimes some of us who've lived, I don't know about some people, but I always got, oh, you're so sweet, you're so nice, you're so kind, but there was always that one other thing, and that kept me from being, where I wanted to be. And, it's like you finally get to a spot where, you're classified as just any other person. And it's like someone's still got to remind you, because you can't have possibly, become your best self.
Right. Right. So
I think that Jessica just reminded me of another thing that I think that when people meet me, I know that they expect me to be a certain type of way. They look at me and they're like, oh, she's got big cheeks. Like, she's going to be so sweet. Like, she's going to be so nice. And I think that another point of knowing that I've kind of made it is that people won't have that expectation, because I'm a lot bolder of a person than what they expect me to be, because I sometimes think people associate being larger with being meeker. And I do think that sometimes is true, because we kind of try to hide in the background, or, I know I was much more of a people pleaser the larger I was, but I've still always had a very strong personality, a very strong opinion on things, and a confidence that outside of my appearance, because I'm very confident in my thought process and the way that I am able to think a problem through. And so I think that professionally and in social situations, I would like my brain to speak before my body.
Yes.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Leah, do you think that people that have lived in larger bodies try to hide in the background? Or do you think it's more the fact that we've been told for so long that we take up too much space?
Mhm.
So we're being forced into the background, like into a role to make other people more comfortable.
I think that it's a little bit of both, like, because I think that we have been exactly what you said, like, we have been told, oh, you are taking up too much space. And so even in spaces that we're not told that, or that that's not even the opinion, that's what we've been coached to feel. And so we condition ourselves.
Yeah.
And so even in spaces where we may be accepted, or our opinion does matter, or the people care enough about us to see us as regular, just human beings, we still, because like you said, have been told over and over, this isn't a place for you. Oh, sit in the back because, this is, you're not camera worthy. You're not, the ideal niche of what we're looking for at this event, whatever it is, in this store. That does carry on into every other aspect.
I agree with that. Right? Because we were told, don't take up so much space. And then I started to live that. That became how I existed. I didn't want to take up a lot of space, So
Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll still be a person who says that, sometimes, and I think really that's what kind of pushed me away from some of the lives and different things, is because my skin just was not thick enough yet to be able to handle some things. And just because the way people may see me on the outside doesn't mean that there isn't a whole lot on the inside. And so there was times where I've been put on the spot and have been put, like, I can think of one time I was, invited on a stage, and I was joking after it was over with, but I was like, I felt like I was maybe having a stroke, like, because of that attention. Like, I couldn't handle it. And it's truthfully because of, I do claim that, years of trauma and being always made to feel less. And again, being conditioned that I wasn't worthy and I wasn't good enough. It'll take time to be able to handle those things, and to learn that I have to have, safe places, like the panel, like, different places like that where I can feel safe.
That makes me happy that you feel safe to come here and share your voice, Jess. That's always been the goal. The goal has always been to create a space that people felt safe to share. So thank you for coming and sharing your voice. I guess
having me.
Absolutely. Jay, to answer your question, I've been kind of chewing on this to see, like, what is my ultimate measure of success is to finally feel at peace. When I look in the mirror, right? Like mentally and physically, like to feel peace, because baby, there was no peace. There was anger and shame, and there was oh my God, like failure, like just self-talk, all the things, right? So like once I feel mentally and physically at peace, I think that would be my ultimate measure. When I could look in the mirror and like what I see, be proud of what I see. So I am headed in the right direction. So I am committed to working on that every day.
And I think that truly is the hardest. I mean, the physical changes and transformations that we all are going through is hard work.
Mhm.
Nobody can take that away. But it's the mental work that comes with it, right? It's seeing ourselves as changed, as different, right? Being able to express ourselves in ways that maybe we felt confined before, right? And I think that takes time. I know for me, in my professional life, I'm up on stages. I'm in big crowds. I'm in that center where I'm all eyes are on me, and I know what that feels like when you're like, what do I look like to everybody, right?
Mhm.
It's in your head, but I do it and I'm okay with it, right? But when that goes background, when I'm not thinking about my appearance and how people are judging me for my weight, that to me is that balance for me, right? I firstly feel like I will never be done. I will always be, to borrow a phrase from Walt Disney, a state of becoming the next thing that I want to do. Each one is a battle, a step towards that bigger thing that I may not know what that is yet, but I'm becoming that all the time.
Mm-hmm. I love that state of becoming. Yeah, because it's gonna be it's ongoing, right?
Yeah.
Like, so physically, yeah, we will eventually all get there, right? Like, or we can all get there, but like the emotional and mental part of it, we got years and years to go, baby.
Yeah.
We've got
Yeah.
years of work to like undo, right? But okay. So this one comes from Leah. This question comes from Leah. One of Leah's questions. So Leah wants to know, when you look at yourself in the mirror today, physically, emotionally, mentally, who do you see? How does that compare to the version of who you were when you started this journey? Leah, I'm going to pick on you first.
Okay, I am prepared. So when I look in the mirror now, there's a very distinct memory that I had of like just a little bit before I started this journey. I had started one of my routine, I'm gonna lose weight situations, So I was on my elliptical, and there's a mirror in my spare room where the elliptical is. And I just remember seeing my side profile and being so distraught by the way that looked like monster. But now when I see myself, there's like this little like, oh, okay, like that's a booty, that's like there's a little muscle line coming there, like your arm, like I do have lipedema in this arm only. This one's fine, but this one's my grandma arm, and so it's starting to go down right now, and it'll never go away because it's not like curable, but it is starting to go down, and I'm starting to come back to myself in a way that I did not know that I was going to feel this way. And there was a time in my life when I was 25 and I could run half marathon distance, and probably the best shape I was ever in, and a confidence that I thought was gone forever. And so now when I look in the mirror, I'm not at that place yet, but there is a part of me that fun side, that flirty side, that like just more playful person is coming back. And at the very beginning of this journey, I just remember being so stricken with disgust, and disgust for everything, disgust for myself, disgust for my life, disgust for the people around me. I don't know. I don't make me cry, Sabrina. And my friends can see it now, and the way that I can interact with them, like, is so drastically different. And I can't imagine where I'm going to be in a year, even from now. So I'm not the person I was in the mirror last year. And I know that I'm still not the person that I'm going to be in the mirror next year.
I love that. That's so powerful, Leah. That's so powerful. I resonate with that. The feeling of looking in the mirror and feeling disgusted. It's painful for me to say it now. You know, it's hard for me to say these words, but I was also there. And then to now not look in the mirror and not feel that it's life changing. It's life changing. So I'm so proud of you. So.
I can answer. I'm going to have to go more metaphorical, I guess. Um, when I looked in the mirror at the beginning of this journey, there was no accountability to anyone, barely even to myself, right? But at this point in my journey, I have a community of people that I am accountable to, including myself. Uh, I embrace this space where I am sharing my journey up, down, left, right, sideways, all of it, and embracing the growth very publicly. And having that kind of accountability is new to me because, you know, I never had to be accountable, and it wasn't about being accountable for my body or the weight I was or anything like that, but it was about showing up every single day and being someone that has to show up for themselves every single day. So not so you don't let yourself down, but also so you can encourage others. Is something kind of special. Um, to have that kind of accountability. So when I look in the mirror now, I think there's a team and we're going through this together. And it makes me very proud and excited that I get to go on this journey with so many amazing other people that want just the best for themselves and that are actively trying to embrace life in a way that they just didn't have the opportunity before for whatever reason because their body didn't metabolize properly or just because they were carrying a few extra pounds, whatever the reason, right? But we are on this journey together and having that kind of accountability. I see it every time I look in the mirror, and that pushes me to not give up in a way that I just didn't really have before.
I love that.
I just really struggle with it in terms of looking in the mirror. You know, I still see myself a year on being the guy that's still wearing the 64-inch trousers and the 6-7 XL t-shirts. My brain hasn't caught up, and it's I have one mirror in the house, and that is purely for shaving. Like the only thing that I do, and it's a body wise, it's just if there's a glance in a window or something. I don't know. I'm just not there yet, and everyone mentions about it all the time. I just think I was disgusted with myself then. I still can't bring myself to see me in what I am now. You know, I'm now 42, so I've lost 20 odd inches around the waist, and it's a massive difference from where I was. But I still see myself as that disgusting blob of a person that I was a year ago. Disgusted that I let myself get that far, and because I'm not where I want to be, maybe I've still got that memory just ingrained in saying that you're still not where you are. Keep going back over that and not forget where you were, who you were, until you get to your goal point. Because I've fallen off so many times, I don't know, maybe it's just that mental state of not seeing where I'm at this stage. I try not to look in mirrors. I think that's the thing. Because every time I do walk past a full size window or whatnot, it's who I was and not who I am now. That's the big thing. And literally, it's just face up is all I tend to see.
Steve, I don't want to.
Yeah.
Sorry, Steve, I think that I don't want to discredit what you said, because I think that is, it's so valid what you're feeling. But I do wonder if, like you were sharing at the very beginning, the fact that you lost so rapidly, if that also does have a piece of that for you still.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
And I'd be
without a doubt.
really excited to hear 6 months from now how you're feeling about it. And so I hope that brings a little piece of hope.
Yeah, I'm sure it will in time, isn't it? I mean, time heals everything. Right now, I mean, one example was a couple of days ago. I mean, I'm from a big family anyway, and I went to visit my mother where my two brothers both live. And they were like, "Oh, you've done so amazing so far. You know, what are you doing?" I mean, they know what I've been doing anyway. And I said, "Look, I've still got a way to go. I've got all this fat still to try and lose and to burn off." And they went, "It's not fat, Stephen. It's loose skin that's just hanging down. There's nothing there." I see it as bulk still from what I was carrying, as opposed to what it actually is. And my doctors even say, you know, we need to be looking at going into maintenance soon and thinking about 6 months, 8 months, you know, loose skin surgery if that's the thing you want to do, because I've lost so much of where I need sort of towards where I want to be. But I think because they're just war wounds, aren't they? That we carry with us, possibly, and that's just where I am still.
And I too don't want to discredit anything you said, Steve, but I'm absolutely about to discredit something that you said earlier. You described yourself as a disgusting blob of a person. That was not you. Who were you really? You were not a disgusting blob of a person. Who was that person?
I mean, that's who I saw though, Jay.
But that wasn't who you were.
No. And if I look down deeper, it's, you know, I'm in there somewhere. I'm caged up, and it's just trying to break free. There's the image it's round on Facebook, where there's a guy chiseling away the fat around him, and it's a inner body emerging like a butterfly from a cocoon. And that's where I'm at. I'm slowly chipping away on the outer edge. It's just going to take time to get there and see what I turn into and how I see myself later on. I mean, I'm never going to be, you know, your 6 foot athletic footballer. Yeah, that's not who I'm going to be.
But you don't need to be.
Realistic goals. No. But I've got realistic goals of where I think I want to be. It's probably only another 20, 30 pounds away. It's going to be someone that's just healthier mentally and physically. And again, it might not be in 20 pounds or so, but yeah, we'll see where I am by my 26th birthday, July time. But
you're gonna get there, and it's gonna be amazing.
Oh.
You're gonna get there. It's gonna be amazing. But the guy that started this journey, the one in the 6XL, 7XL, that guy was special. That guy made the choice to take the first step. That guy was courageous. Mm-hmm. That guy made a difference. Mm-hmm. And he deserves credit. Yeah. He deserves so much credit.
And love. And love, Steve.
I mean, it's getting there.
It takes time. It's hard.
It does. It takes time.
It's hard.
It absolutely.
I'm a lot better than I was.
I think there's a whole lot to be said there, Steve. And I just got to say, you know, I really do appreciate you keeping it real, because, you know, some of us, when we're in bigger bodies and have a lot to lose, the realistic portion of this it's devastating. It's devastating for most of us. But I will just say this, because I am, you know, I still have a lot to go. And, you know, there's still a lot of things I'm working on, just like the way you have mentioned and things that you're saying right now, because here's the thing. We have been conditioned to think that we are less. We have been conditioned to think that we are not worthy. We are conditioned to look at ourselves in bigger bodies and look at ourselves like we are disgusting. And it is horrible. It is horrible for all of us to have been in a spot where we despise our bodies and the actions that caused us to be there. And if we can't all accept that, you know, what our outside flesh, what that skin looks like when you empty it, what that's going to be like, it is tough. It is tough. And listen, I'm getting older. That stuff ain't going to get tighter.
Yeah.
This arm ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
So there's some scars, right? There's some physical scars that we're all going to have. And I will just say this. I just really believe that as you go through this process, because you have been a hyper responder, you're going to need some time to remember that you are worthy and that you are worthy of love, no matter what size. And no person in any size body deserves to be shamed or to be treated as if they are less. And we have been the number one people in our society that has had the condition of chronic obesity, type 2 diabetes, PCOS, and many, many, many other things that have been made to feel as if we are less and there is something wrong with us. And if we just eat less and move more, that we will see things. And we have ingrained that in our brains to make us feel less. And, you know, on top of life, that is a real hard pill to swallow every single day, every time you look in the mirror. But, you know, just know that in time, you're going to remember and you're going to heal and you're going to realize that you were worthy. And it doesn't matter what scars we're left with, because at the end of the day, if you want that athletic body, I don't care what's left. If there's extra skin, do it. Do it. If that's what you want, do it. You are just as worthy as the person who's in that body. You can't help it. Your body works differently, you know, but that shouldn't stop you. But you know what? For all of us here, that's a lot of work. And I can say it, but I'm still going through it. I think I've got my boots on. So, you know, knee deep, you know, but that's why we're in it together.
Yeah. And I mean, so like, and everyone's journey is different, right? For some people, it's just physical. Some people are like, I just want to get that body to body, yada, 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 right? Like there are some people who just want that. And I love that for you. But I encourage others while you're doing that, also maybe check out, like, hit the head and heart stuff too.
Yeah.
Right? Because at the end of the day, yes, I don't want to end up with this banging body and still be broken here and here, right? Like I want to, like my goal is to be the best version of myself, mentally, physically, and emotionally. So I encourage everyone to tap into the holistic aspect of the journey, if that's for you. Some people are like, no, I just want that summer body, baby. You know? But I mean, and I love that for you too, but it will serve you well.
I don't know, Sabrina. There are a lot of hot, broken people in this world. We don't need to add more.
We don't need to add more, baby. You ain't lying.
We don't need to add more. Everybody, let's do the work. Let's do the work.
Yeah, let's do the work. I'm going to encourage that. Jamie, do you have any thoughts?
I look in the mirror now, I see probably the same thing that I saw at 650 pounds, which is just pure unadulterated sex appeal, top to bottom, all the way around.
Love it.
That's a Leo.
Or if I listen to the people in my TikTok live, if I look in the mirror, I see the actor James Spader, which I hear 100 times a night when I'm online. No, I said earlier I've had reverse body dysmorphia, which I never saw myself as big as I was, and that's true. I'd look in the mirror and I'd think I'm big, but I'm not that big. And I could take a picture of me taken at the same moment, and the picture I'm like, I am huge. but I never actually saw I could look at my body and not feel as big as I was in the picture.
Hmm.
But honestly, I think as I've lost half of myself, I feel rather than I mean, your body, sometimes your mind has to catch up to your body. In my case, I kind of feel like my body's catching up to where my mind has been. And
Mm.
I credit, my mom's been gone for 12 years, but she was like the world's best mother. And she never, when I was a kid and well into adulthood, she never let me feel like I was anything other than like her handsome son, you know?
Mm.
And so I always had a confidence that regardless of my size, that I'm still always felt like um, good about myself. And it's like a gift my mother gave me that I didn't really realize until I've gotten older and as I've lost weight.
Mm.
Because now I realize that my body's just catching up to where my mind has always been, and she gave that to me. And so I don't think I'm gonna have. I mean, I went to therapy when I started this journey, and was told I didn't really need it. I mean, think the therapist might have been wrong, but so I may have to give it another go. But I feel like my body's catching up to my mind, because I saw myself as an athlete when I was 650 pounds, just a very broken one who couldn't really move. But um, but I have a ton of empathy for, and I have friends who are in similar shoes where their mind is not catching up to where their body is when it
Mhm.
comes to the weight loss. And I just have the opposite feeling.
I'm going to say it takes time. It really does. And I know everybody says that, but it really, truly does take time. Like your mind will catch up.
And I need your therapist information so I can talk to them because here's the deal. If you're a human on this planet,
Mhm.
you probably need to talk to somebody.
Right.
No.
Right.
Well, I should say, when I met with a therapist, actually, it was for a specific reason, which is as I saw other people had talked about losing a significant amount of weight, particularly the GLP-1s, they talked about how people were treating them differently. They were treating them better.
Mhm.
And it was giving them a lot of, they were angry at the people in their lives who, like, all of a sudden now I'm worth hanging out with, I'm worth talking
Mhm.
to, I'm worth being nice to, because now I'm skinny or thinner than I used to be. And so the reason I met with a therapist is I was very concerned about that specific aspect of this whole process. And I wanted to talk to the therapist about that at the start so I could prepare myself for how people would treat me differently.
Mm.
And that's really was the focus of the therapy initially for me.
I
For
think that's interesting
I did
because
have a therapist. Sorry, Jay, I keep lagging. I did have a therapist because I'm a very advocate. Sorry, I am an advocate for therapy for everyone. But my therapist released me too because she said that I was too self-aware, and so she was cutting her client load down, and she dismissed me.
I had a similar thing as well. In my 20s, I was at what I felt was a bottom place in my life. And I decided that I called mental services to get a therapist, and I went. And at some point, she's like, "You don't need this anymore. You don't need this, and there's nothing more we can do here, right?" And that was addressing different parts of my life, right? Weight was still a challenge then, but it gave me a confidence that I didn't know I had. And then that sort of spread itself to drive me to lose the weight in my 20s because I knew I could do it. Well, I didn't know. I believe I could try, and I was successful. 30 years later, it's back, right? Over 30 years. The feeling now is, can I do it? I did it before, but 30 years later, can I still do it? And when I recently, I'm not one to look at mirrors of myself, but recently I've started to, like, because I see he's still there. Meaning, like, I feel it's within reach. And I didn't feel that for a long time.
Yeah.
So when I come past the mirror, it's not that I'm, this great thing, but I see the little things that are improving. and those little things will get me to the bigger things. So when I look at the mirror, what am I going to discover now? What little thing? And that drives me.
I love that. I love that. Steve, we're buying you a mirror. I'm buying you a full length mirror, and I want you to look at it every single day. I want you to be encouraged, right? Like, instead of, it's like the glass half full, half empty, right? I have so much more to go. Opposed to look at what you've accomplished. Look at what you've done. I mean, what you've done is incredible. I want you to flip
incredible
the way you're
and
looking at it.
so incredible, Steve. And this is my first time meeting you, and I just want you to know, and I don't know if it'll be helpful or not, but like, I see such a handsome, vibrant young man in front of me, just a hot guy, you know? And so I want you, this is coming from a stranger that doesn't know you, and that's what I see you as face value, like just knowing nothing else about you. So if you can start putting that into your mind, that is the public perception, like that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, if there wasn't a big ocean between us, I'd be like, right, come on, I want a hug from everyone. No, I appreciate it. Like, yeah, and I will do. I'll get there eventually. It's just finding me. I think that's it's a journey. It's for me mentally as well as physically. Yeah,
You're gonna get there. You'll get there. Okay, so
Just hang around TikTok long enough, because they
Yeah.
put those mirrors on sale, and I bought one for the first time last year. So just just so you know, I mean, you hang around TikTok shop long enough, you try it. It's not so bad.
we're trying to get them on TikTok.
Yeah. I want to add, though, that actually, in my own personal view of myself, what to me was a recent big milestone was posting videos of me doing my Zep bound shots. There were people who had posted videos before me. I'm like, how can they do that? Like, they have no shirt on. Like, how? Like, and that to me was like, wow, they're just sharing. They don't care. And I was like, you know what? I can do that. So I figured if somebody, I just did it, and if somebody benefits from it, great. But it was a lot less. It was more freeing than I thought. I'll put it that way.
That's good. That's really good. I am just going to caution you, Jeff, that go ahead, Jay. You get it.
No, yeah, I was going to agree. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, TikTok has moments.
Yeah.
And they may get upset about you showing the actual injection sometimes.
Yeah.
So just be careful.
I learned that early on. The code words that in my early days, it was very different.
Like,
yeah.
It's against the community guidelines. So I just want to caution you to like, be careful. Like, people have lost their entire accounts.
Yeah.
Everything wiped. So just be careful. But
I'm glad you felt free though, because that sounds amazing.
That's the win, right?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's the win. Okay, so this question comes from Jess. During your journey, what is one thought process you've had to reframe along the way? Jess?
I will just say that in the past few months, I have really kind of left the losing weight, the journey. You know, it's the same. I'm still on my medicine. I'm still making, progress. But I've had a lot of extra time to do a lot of mental work. And, for some of us, this is easier. Maybe you've never had this problem, but for the people that have, I've always been super, I don't know, sometimes more aware than what I'd like to be. And so sometimes someone's facial response, body movement, how they responded, would tell me things about a conversation that people were having around me. And, it's kind of basically over years of being aware or being at the wrong end of jokes or just mean people. I've had become almost paranoid. And so I have had to learn how to kind of come through my trauma of different things that I've experienced in my life, from being in a bigger body, from, feeling abandonment, from feeling childhood trauma, different things like that. And I've had to really learn how to reframe things, because when you're used to being seen in a bigger body, it's hard to not always associate that someone's not directing that at you. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that can even carry over into other things besides just weight. So one thing that I have had to learn how to reframe is to not always overthink about what people say. Like, don't just assume that what they're saying is directed at something about me. And that's been really hard, but I will say that is one thing that I'm finally seeing progress on, and that's a good thing. And so I just wanted to know if something like that's happened for you guys.
Yeah, that's a great thing.
Absolutely. I think for me, when it was starting to get noticeable that I was losing weight, people at work were congratulating, saying how well I looked, those sorts of things. And I was thinking in my head, God, what did they think of me when I was 429 pounds, 441 pounds? And that was all I could think about was, well, what did they think of me back then if they're saying how well I look now? And from their point of view, they're probably just coming from a sort of this congratulatory, well-meaning sentiment. But all I could think about is, well, what did they think of me? At the time, and even when it comes to our parents' evenings, where I'm only seeing certain parents once or twice a year, and they're saying, "Oh, you've absolutely changed. Didn't even recognise you to begin with. You're looking absolutely amazing now." It's like, well, what do you mean now? Like, what did you think I looked like earlier? And so I'm having to change that mental process of not looking at the negative side of it, but actually starting to accept those compliments for what they are, and seeing those. So it's trying to change how I'm thinking, how I take those compliments now, from always being that sort of negative side of things to try and be more positive in terms of thanks, really appreciate it.
Yeah, receiving it for what it is.
Yeah, right? Absolutely, and not overthinking it to what it could have been 6, 12, 18 months ago.
Yeah.
Something about being in a larger body that has made it easy sometimes to snatch an insult out of the jaws of a compliment.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times you would get the compliment and then you would hear about something said behind your back. You're like, just so, yeah. Yep. So you aren't alone, Steve. You are not alone.
Yeah. Because that's true, right? Like, how often would you would get those barbed compliments, and so it's only natural to still have that thought process. Chris in the chat said, "Jay, that was so poetic."
Thanks, Chris. I appreciate it. I would like to answer the question, if I may. For me, it's got to be reframing the thought process that my body has either failed or betrayed me. I will look at the way that my body fluctuated weight or held on to weight my entire life as a personal slight, kind of how dare you moment, where it's like, why would you do this to me? Why would you betray me this way? I thought we were on the same team. And apparently we are on the same team, but apparently obesity is a complex disease. Who knew?
Right. But see, that's the thing. Who knew? I didn't know. I didn't know that obesity was a disease. I thought it was this moral failing,
It was
right?
a moral failing, right? And my body betrayed me for giving into the moral failing, for being the failure. And so I had to reframe the thought process that my body had failed me at any point and realize that my body just needed a little extra boost, a little extra something to function the way that apparently everybody else's body has been functioning. Like, what do you mean you weren't thinking about food all the time?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You got satiated every time you ate. Every time you ate, you got satiated. Okay, sure.
So that's the thing, right? Is the for NJ, my answer is exactly the same. For me, reframing was it's my fault, moral failure. You can't do anything right. Like it was just this whole like so reframing it from a fault, moral failure thing to finding out it's a disease. I mean, like that blew my mind. Like so shifting and reframing that really has taken so much time, but it has empowered me. I feel empowered. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful to have found this community and the people who show up and do what they do.
I'll throw an answer out. And something I've actually been thinking a lot about lately is, and this probably comes from a diet culture where stuff like how you eat and exercise and the gym and all this stuff is like uh, sort of the stuff you have to do. The diet culture forces on you that make you think I have to do this. And like when the happy place, the good place, the whatever is at the end, and I have to just get through this grueling process to get there. And part of it's diet culture, part of it is actual obesity being a disease and food noise and all that. Um, and so I've always sort of seen doing the stuff like eating well and exercise and walking and whatever. I've always seen it as like the way to get to a better life. You have to do that to get to a better life where you don't have the weight. And I've really had to reframe that. And I realize now that those things are the better life. Like
Mm.
the journey of this is the destination for me, at least it is for me. And the fact that I can now eat well, good, nourishing food that is satiating and isn't going to make me feel bad mentally or physically or sick. The fact that I can now go lift weights and I can walk and that for me now I realize like, oh, that's the better life I wanted. I just wasn't aware of it. And so now when I have to like park far from the door, I just, as one example, I now get excited. And I never used to get excited. I used to drive around the parking lot for half hour waiting for a closer spot. Now it's like I don't
Or
even
leave.
bother.
Yeah, if I
Yeah,
couldn't
or
find
leave.
it, I would just leave because I couldn't.
Exactly
I
right.
physically could not do it. So
Yeah.
now if there's a far parking spot, I'm like, okay.
Yeah. And so for me, the biggest reframing has been realizing that the stuff that I thought you had to do to get a better life that's the better life for me anyway.
That's powerful.
That was so beautiful, Jamie. I
that's a good
never
point.
thought about it in that way.
Mhm.
Thank you for that. That gives me a whole new perspective and makes my answer feel very, very shallow.
Don't feel that way.
Yeah.
What I
Don't
would
feel that way.
contribute
I'm an old man, Lee. I've
when
had a
I
lot of time to think about this stuff in my life. So
no, I made a mental note, and I am now putting you on the same level as Jay of like people I look for inspiration now. I'm going to be following your TikToks
Thanks. Appreciate it.
ASAP. The way that I feel like I've had to reframe my brain in this journey. Number one, please, if you're in the chat and you are struggling with this, 90 pounds is not a goal weight. Please know that. And so I think that that's something that like was a really big shift somewhere along the lines for me, that life is meant to live in a healthy way. And the health And exactly what Jamie is explaining and talking about, like being able to have a vibrant life is worth more than anything diet culture or a life of body hate will bring you. So
Absolutely.
now, and I think also this is one that I learned from Jay, and it's still something that I have to, like, every time I'm posting, I always think, if Jay sees this, is he good? What's the feedback I'm gonna get? But not everything has to be negative. You should look at your life in a positive light. And so when I do my content and my posts, I often find myself still being very self-deprecating or leaning into the sound bites that are a little bit leaning towards the cynical negative side. And it's okay to be light. Like, you can bring joy into this world through this journey. And so that's all I've got.
I love that.
None of that was shallow, Leah. Oh my
I know,
God.
but like none of it was.
Oh my God.
I don't know. That was the goal weight part. Like, I think is like an aesthetic piece that really makes me feel like
Somebody needed to hear that.
But that's important, right? That's important. That's very important, because there's so many things that have shifted, right? Like when I first started, 150, I had to be 150 pounds. That's some arbitrary number that I had picked out of the air, that I have to be this number. I have to be this number. I was chasing a number, like that number doesn't mean anything ultimately for me, so that was definitely something that I had to shift.
I think
like
people
how
often assign a number to a time. At this point in my whatever time, when I was 150, I was happier then. So if I get to 150, I'll be happy again. And they don't always realize that the happiness didn't come from the number on the scale. So if they think it's going to come back because of that, it's not going to. You have to examine what was happening in your life at that point that was making you happy, and try to replicate that rather than a scale weight.
So Brandon, remember when I wanted to be 185? Good times. Good times. Until I discovered I had like 179 pounds of muscle on my body.
He had 179 pounds. So I was like, yeah, we need to shift that, right? Because like
It'd just be hair and muscle.
right, like in no version of reality am I going to be like, you need to lose muscle, because I mean, don't do it.
So Jay, you're saying being called big guy bad, being called beefcake good, though, in that case.
Beefcake good. There's so much opportunity for that.
All right, good to know.
I love that.
So I just want to add, for me, the mind shift is the life in the middle is where it needs to be. What I mean by that is, struggling with obesity, it's been a series of pendulum from extreme to extreme. In my 20s, I was a gym rat, early morning workouts, late night workouts, same day, eating baby food, and, making sure, that was my life. And I got success, right? And I enjoyed that. And I think if I didn't do that at a young age, I'd be far worse off than I am right now. But then I go to the other side, right? As I aged and I had relationships, right? I did keto, and that was really good and strict, and I got results. But what I didn't see was the impact it was having around me. I stopped going out to eat with my wife. I stopped, enjoying. So for me, taking the medications sounds extreme, but really it's brought me back to normalcy. Right? It's giving me that ability to go have ice cream with my wife and not care. Like, that's the normalcy. That's the middle.
I love that. Yeah. That was extreme, right? That lifestyle is what was extreme.
Exactly. Yeah.
I love when people discover the gift of moderation. And understanding that moderation can work if your body is working.
Yes.
Right. And so that is a gift that I love to see people discover every single time. Where they're like, you know what? I don't have to be the most extreme version of myself to be the happy version of myself or to reach the goal that I'm trying to reach. And that makes me happy.
I think there's a whole lot of healing in that too, right? Like,
Mhm.
especially for most of us. I mean, because let's be honest, portion control wasn't always most of our strengths. I mean, you know, I don't know about other people, but it's like all or nothing, die hard, you know?
Right,
So
yeah.
that gift of moderation is kind of a huge win.
That's huge because I mean, I wouldn't be able to recognize satiety, and if I did, I would eat past it because something in my brain was just like you said, just all like there was no reason to finish the plate of fries, right? Like I was full to the point of pain, but I kept going. I kept going.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that comes
Yeah.
from like the insulin, all those things, but even like childhood stuff. When I was a kid, when you sat down at the table, you finish what's on your plate. So
That's
like
it.
I
Yeah.
don't know if that even like so some of that comes from that. Like there's just so much of it. So now if I'm done, I'm done. Like I don't care what's left on the plate. I'm able to recognize moderation and satiety on this health journey.
And
And
that's an epiphany.
Mm-hmm.
If you've never had it before,
Mm-hmm.
like I didn't get that until a few weeks in. I remember eating. I was like, I can't eat anymore. I don't want to eat anymore. And here's all the food, and that was just like new.
Yeah.
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 And I will just say, like, I think I know I've said something like this before, but you know, for like, I remember like,
Oh no,
She's frozen.
it's gonna be a doozy.
The world's biggest dog that she has ate her phone, maybe.
That's true.
You know, Jess is going to say something amazing when she
Yeah.
freezes.
I
Yeah.
know. Every
That's how you
time.
know it's going to be amazing.
She's back. She's back.
there we go. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I will just say that because I was such a food addict, and I really was. It was horrible, and I did kind of grow up where it wasn't very common for us to have a lot of sweet treats in our house, you know. And I will be the first to say that there was times that, you know, food pantry food was what I was going to eat for dinner, and you know, I'm not ashamed of that. But what I will say is that as I grew up and I got older, that I almost saw such a huge component of that tied with food addiction as well, because when like something that I really wanted from the grocery store came into the house, if somebody else got to it before I did, I lost my mind. Like I lost my mind. And coming through everything that I've been through, it's like, okay, well, then it's fine. And that was really hard. Like that was really hard. Like to know that that food meant that much to me.
Yeah.
And that I was so fixated on it. And, you know, all or nothing, or, you know, I don't want to waste anything, or, oh, but that's so good. I can eat just 2 more bites, you know, until I was sick.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's sad, but it is true. And I think a lot more people probably deal with it than just me. So.
Oh, I know I have. There's so many of us who could relate to that, you know? And I think that's why these kinds of conversations are important. You know, they're shared experiences, things that you have said, or, you know, anybody on this panel someone's going to hear it and it's going to resonate with them.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think that that's something, going back to the topic of therapy, that I think is so important for a lot of people. And I recognize that not everyone has access to that. And so, though we are not licensed professionals, Sabrina, thank you for opening this up to have these types of conversations that can be like healing and thought-provoking for people to like open those conversations. When it comes to food insecurity, I think that that's a big component that like I don't know that enough people address in their journey of undoing that food noise or that relationship with food. If you grew up in a home that food insecurity was a very real thing, that does impact the way that your brain responds, because you were conditioned for a very long time to think that I don't know when the next meal's coming, or I don't know that I'm going to enjoy the next meal. And so I need that. And I know for me, one of the things therapy really unlocked, like the trauma bond between food and comfort of like neglect. There was a point in time, like a very vivid memory that was suppressed so deep. Like my dad was a very young dad, and he was in the Navy. And I remember my mom just needed a break. Like she was done with the kids. So I got packed up to go to like a barbecue with my dad's like Navy buddies and stuff. And he didn't want to have to deal with childcare. And so I was in the back of this truck just sitting there by myself. And the only thing with me was this bag of chips. And so I ate the whole bag of chips. I was probably 3. And the rage that happened, like, how could you eat all that food? Like, how could I not? It was the only thing I had around.
Absolutely.
And so those things that we don't realize, that even it was one incident that I can remember, but those things like stick with us and get ingrained. And I don't know if you guys have read The Body Keeps Score, but it's a very impacting book, and we do carry those things into adulthood. And so undoing 35 years, 45 years, 55, 75 years of these things that haven't gone addressed, that other people may not have experienced. That's one more layer of this as to why we have been struggling versus why other people feel normal.
Yeah. I mean, food insecurity was a big thing growing up for me. I mean, I'm very open about growing up in terms of living in poverty and those sorts of things. And I think one of my problems was when I managed to break out of that cycle, you know, first person to go to university, first person to get a career, not have any sort of benefits like a lot of my family members, and having money to spend on food, and then going out and having gluttonous amounts of those different things that I'd never had before, and just having too much, and then trying to break that cycle. It's only now in the last year or so where actually I've gone more top end of the healthier stuff, the whole foods, and actually I find myself enjoying those more than the ultra processed stuff that I never had as a kid that I thought I was missing out on. And I think that's a big part of where I was to where I am now as well. Sort of seeing that sort of transition, because I've got money to buy certain things. It's what am I going to change my mindset of, you don't need to buy the cheesecake and the donuts and all the nice sweet treat things that you didn't have growing up. You've had all that, so let's go on to something else now.
Yeah. Love that. You're doing good, Steve. You're doing good. Well, Leah brings up, when she brought up the book, one of my questions was, are there any creators, books, podcasts, or resources that you recommend for anyone on this journey? So, Leah, do you have a different one, or is The Body Keeps Score your recommendation?
The Body Keeps Score, I would definitely recommend. In terms of creators, shameless plug, but you can go to my TikTok and I have a whole family tree of really amazing people to follow, that helped me above and beyond in this journey. There's a good handful. I probably need to make a second family, because I have stumbled upon a lot more people that have made that impact. But another resource, TikTok really is the main one for me. And in terms of books, I'm not an avid reader. I am an article reader. I like the rapid, I want to read a quantity versus, a longer thing. But if I think of one as you guys are talking, I'll pop back in on it.
Side note, that TikTok with the whole family tree was perfection. Absolutely loved it. Jay?
I do not like this question because I immediately go blank. The ADHD goes, you've read nothing, you've heard nothing, you know nothing.
Jay is a reader, you guys, a reader. That's why this is so funny to me.
Um,
I'll come back to you.
you can come back, but it'll be fruitless. Like let me just go with creators right now that um are making my life on TikTok. I can do that because I check in with them daily. There's Shannon
Mhm.
SY Daniels um, on TikTok. Tuesdays through Fridays. I don't know how to start my day without that. It's some really good conversations about doing the head and heart work on this journey. And it's around 8:30 a.m. Eastern time, Tuesdays through Fridays. Definitely need that. Brian rants about stuff,
Mhm.
or I'm sorry, Dr. Brian rants about stuff. Um, right now has entered a new phase of his journey. He's not calling it maintenance, but I'm learning a lot as he's learning and evolving on this phase of his journey. And so that's like super important for me at this point right now. So those are just two creators on TikTok that are must-haves for me right now at this moment. And if you ask me at some point in life about any book that I've read, I could name a book at some point, but literally right now, I can't even think of a book.
Um, Anybody else? Jeff or Jamie?
Yeah. So I'm more of a podcast person,
Yeah.
and then a book person, just easier to consume. But I'm definitely more of a TikTok person above all of those. But beyond that, rediscovering podcasts again because I work from home. I don't commute. I don't have a lot of time to actually. But what's actually giving me time back, I started going to the gym and I have this time again to where don't have to read or like podcast or back. And it actually just the other day, it was the Plus Sides podcast that you were on, Sabrina. So like that, rediscovering that and going back through some of those back catalog is interesting to me. The Fat Science podcast is of interest to me as well. So it's discovering these. So if you have podcast recommendations, please share them.
Yes, absolutely. So the doctors on or the Plus Sides was instrumental in me flipping that switch of a moral failing, and that's how I found out that this was a disease. It's because of the Plus Sides. All the doctors, all of those episodes had such a healing quality.
Yeah.
Huge healing quality for me. So
I can see why.
yeah. I think it was like episode 1 and 5. That's what like flipped the switch in my brain. Episode 1 and episode 5 changed my entire view of like eat less, move more, because that's where I was stuck, right? And then so this is a disease. I will always be grateful for that. This is not the Let Them by Mel Robbins.
Yeah.
I think that I'm not through it because I'm reading like 4 different books right now, but I am an avid reader. I absolutely love it. I'm actually approaching 1,000 days of reading in a row, you guys. Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes. But for me, Let Them theory with from Mel Robbins has been chef's kiss. That's definitely.
I'll throw a couple out. I really love a guy named Dr. Spencer Nadolsky. If you've heard of him, he has a podcast called Docs Who Lift. He just started a new telehealth company. Fantastic doctor, huge believer in GLP-1. I like a podcast called Mind Pump, which actually just flew me out there to appear on it, which is really exciting. And then as far as that's how I knew that I didn't need a seatbelt external anymore because these guys flew me out to film the podcast. So I'm like, thanks guys for the NSB.
Hold on, Jimmy, what was the name of that?
It's called Mind Pump. It's 2 words,
Okay,
like mind and then pump.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. It's #1 rated health and fitness podcast. So I'm excited. Excited to be on it. And then books, I have like my trifecta books. These books have like defined everything I think about in terms of this new thing that I'm on. Mine will be out probably in a few weeks, Jeff, I'm guessing. Muscle Ladder by Jeff Nippard. Jeff Nippard's a great creator who's on TikTok as well. Teaches you how to lift weights. Atomic Habits, James Clear. Fantastic book. I've learned a ton from it. And then a book I found on TikTok. I've been watching this doctor. He's now a doctor. His name's Johnny Haddock. He does recipes for weight loss, mostly high protein meal prep stuff like that. And I've watched him for years, and he made a cookbook, which I purchased the cookbook. And I feel crazy because I'm constantly like filling this cookbook when I'm doing my lives because I'm such a huge believer in it. But in my case, this has helped me learn how to eat, learn how to physically move, and learn how to think. So these 3 books together have made a huge difference for me.
Yeah. I mean, that's everything we need on this journey, right?
Exactly right. Yeah.
That's great. What was the name of the doctor who wrote the cookbook? Like, what's the name of the title?
The cookbook's called Total Weight Loss Cookbook, and it's Johnny Haddock. So if you just search TikTok for Haddock, Hadac.
Okay. I think you made a video about this, right?
I made a video about it, yeah, which makes me uncomfortable, but Jeff encourages me to just fully use TikTok in all of its ways, including selling a book. But what I like about it, like this, he has hundreds of videos of recipes, and so they're in my saved items, and I'm like, every time I wanted to cook something, I'm like scrolling. I'm like, finally a cookbook that teaches me how to do that. I'm an idiot. I have no clue how to cook. I am the world's worst cook. So the fact that this guy helped me is sort of amazing.
That's great.
Yeah.
Anybody else have anything they'd like to recommend?
I'm working on a new book by Gabor Mate. It's called The Myth of Normal. And I have been looking at some of his stuff and have been listening to some of the things that he's been, that shares kind of lectures and different things on YouTube. And I find that he's very helpful. Definitely the Let Them. I really love how, as I've been reading through that book, the Let Them is kind of left to the side now, and Let Me has taken on a whole new meaning.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that thought process. If I was a new beginner, I will always say that one of the people who I always listen to all her videos, she brought me to my tears, and always really, for the first time, I thought, I don't know where she came from, but she knows exactly how I feel, is the Love Nest, Rachel Gullett.
Mm-hmm.
She is amazing in person. She's beautiful inside and out. I love the fact that I've met her. I love the fact that it was some of her videos that broke me. It broke me, but it was a good breaking. It was good, all good. And of course, I will say the podcast, the plus sides. One of the very first people, there's a few people I messaged. One was Sabrina. One was another person, and I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful for the path that some of you have laid and left across, and I can only hope that other people feel that way about my videos. And so those were some creators and some things from in the past, but the Myth of Normal is a book I is on my list to take out. And yeah, I think that's it.
Love it.
I mean, a lot of the reading I do is really boring academia stuff for work and just scratch up on my history knowledge and stuff. In terms of YouTube, for what I follow, I mean, there's a few. Just have on the background The Downsized with Christopher and Lorraine. I quite like a lot of their stuff that they do. Dave, Ali, Fit Flavor Fun, for a bit of light-hearted stuff when she goes on her rants every now and again. Absolutely love those. Dr. Tina Moore as well. Mm-hmm. Some of the a lot of the things that she comes out with, good. But I mean, there's not too much in terms of what I do, and certainly on live things, with most people being in the USA, it's difficult to get on with the live streams and stuff, especially when I'm working. So it's always catch up when I can do.
Right. Like, what time is it for you right now, Steve?
3:45 in the morning. It's starting to get light outside already. So.
Yeah. So I would like to especially thank you for staying up all night to be here and do this with us.
Loved it. Absolutely loved it.
And if you happen to come to TikTok, we have lots of UK friends there.
There's a lot of UK.
Yes, there is. There's a whole,
Yeah.
Come to the dark side, Steve. Come to the dark side.
So
I'll have to check it out. I'll check it out.
that does remind me of something I probably maybe should mention. So I discovered this panel weeks ago, and I loved it. And what I think with the second one was the all male panel, and I was so impressed that being on TikTok, men's voices weren't as apparent, and I was kind of like, where's the male perspective? Because there's different things, and having that was such an enlightening view of hearing the stories and all that, and it actually inspired me. And I guess I don't really talk about it, but I actually went and created a separate TikTok account that I've collected all the men who are talking about GLP men. It is GLP-1 men. And I try to showcase all the male creators. So if you're looking for that male voice on TikTok, please follow that account. I try to just create a list.
So that's you. That's the
me.
Clark Kent. Okay, all right.
That's me.
I saw them like, who's doing this? All right, that's good to know.
I love that. Jeff, will you drop that handle in the chat, please?
Yeah.
Thank you. That is wonderful because there are so many guys. I cannot tell you how many people will come into the live and say, is this medication for men too? And I'm like, what? Because the only thing that they see is women, right? Talking about it.
That's exactly,
It's a huge disproportionate amount, right? So anytime, on TikTok, when someone comes across someone who's starting new into our community, I cannot tell you how many of those messages I get a day. They're like, new person, new, and they're constantly sending them to me. And then I go and I'm like, hi, welcome to the community. And a lot of those are the guys. And so what I do is I tag them in one of, because Chris, I think it's the next Chris is his new handle.
Yep.
He has a pinned video on his profile of the men in this. So I always go there and I always add, the person to show them all these creators. But I'm also going to start doing that on your page as well, Jeff. So
yeah, and it's not my content. It's really to showcase the other creators. Yeah.
Right. And I think it's important. I think it's really, really important that there is representation for everyone in this community.
And don't get me wrong, I love the stories from women. I just wanted to, I appreciated the panel. I wanted to elevate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I'm someone who's not close to my journey. They're not going to see my stuff and be like, yep, going to follow her. I don't resonate with them. Right. Yeah. But we need to have guys that are showcased because they're going to resonate with them.
If you look across the board, though, not just in TikTok, but everywhere, this is an issue with men not thinking this is for them. And I've been trying to think of ways to talk about this. There are sexual health components to this medication and weight loss that I think if men were aware of, they would be more open to using. Mm-hmm. I don't know how to talk about that. Haven't figured that out yet, but I'm trying to find ways.
You got to be frank about it.
But I think it gets dicey on TikTok, right?
That's the thing. Like, how do you talk about it there?
Yeah, you got to be. You have to tread with caution
without TikTok censoring.
Right. I mean, we get in trouble for saying body dysmorphia. You can't say anything over there. So,
like, how do we make content that a woman can send to her husband and she'll get it to him and he'll actually pay attention to it because it's a guy talking? Like, if we could find some way to do that in a way that's not going to get us all banned or something.
Exactly.
That'd be good. Yeah.
Exactly. But
by the way, a reminder, just jumping off what Sabrina said, if you're watching this and you're considering creating content or the idea has not crossed your mind, someone needs to hear your specific story the way you tell it through your voice. Somebody out there needs it. and you could be helping save a life just by sharing your story. So if you're considering it, or if the thought hasn't crossed your mind, there's a chance you could save a life. So
I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the creators. I know that. I was on Reddit, I was not there, but when I discovered the creators of TikTok, that's really where it took off.
That's good. I'm so happy. I love, and I understand why some people don't, but if it's inside you to share, please do so. Please do so, because I mean, I don't know about you guys. I scroll, and like every 3 things for me is a GLP-1 live, right? But someone needs to hear that person say it that way. So if you can share, please do so. We've got 10 minutes left, guys. I'm going to do like a rapid fire one, and then we're going to do our closing thoughts, okay?
Sure.
So I want you to complete this sentence. And Jay, I'm starting with you. And then we're going to go Jay, Leah, Jane. So we're going to snake it up, okay? You're welcome, Jay. So complete this sentence. I am stronger because.
I am stronger because I have faith in myself.
I am stronger because I have a full army community behind me.
I'm stronger because I use my voice without any shame.
I'm stronger because I'm confident that I will achieve my goals because I've seen other people achieve their goals.
I'm stronger because I found support in a ton of people who taught me that I wasn't alone and it wasn't my fault. And because of them, I learned how to believe in myself.
Jess, how do I follow that? I'm stronger because I've got all of you. It's someone to pull back on when I'm at a low.
I love that.
Absolutely.
I love that. I didn't even think of one for myself. I am I'm just like so enraptured with what you guys are saying. I am stronger because I am falling in love with myself again. Like I no longer feel disgusted and gross or all those things, right? I am stronger because I believe in myself and because I love myself. And like 30 other things. But I feel empowered. I'm stronger because I feel empowered. So, okay, closing thoughts, guys. This is your chance. Remind people where to find you, and what is your message to the GLP-1 community, to the people who are still with us in the chat. Love you guys. And the people who are going to watch this afterwards. What is your message to them? Steve?
So I'm on YouTube, and I've literally just downloaded, not that you can see it, TikTok, just to have a look through.
We win!
So we'll see what's on there. My closing thoughts, it's good to talk. You need to let out what you're feeling, and talk through what's holding you back. And sometimes it's being able to express those feelings into words that really helps you take that 2 steps forward rather than 1 step back.
Love it.
I'm on TikTok. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'm always going to keep it real, the good, the bad, the ugly, no matter the views. And if nothing else, make sure that you find people that you can follow that you feel like lift you up and lift up other people who need you to lift them up. And another thing I can't forget to say is, by all means, make sure that you're hanging out and waiting for what Dave on the pen has to say, because, you know, I thought about all the creators that have helped me, and he's a huge piece to this too. And I'm thinking about him tonight, and I'm thinking about everybody else who has brought me where I am, and I'm thankful for every single one of you. So thank you.
Mhm. Yeah.
Oh, speak. So I'm GLP-1 guy on TikTok. That's primarily where I spend most of my time. I do have YouTube and Instagram, but you'll find all my links and any other content that I do share. I'm a technical person, so you'll find a lot of links on glp1guy.com. So if I can't put it on TikTok, you'll find it there. To echo what a wise person Jackson once said, create the content, right? It is your voice your story is unique, and you do not know the light that you will bring to someone's life with your story. So I know not everybody thinks that they are a creator, but you have a story to tell. We live in a world of technology and connectivity. Find your voice, find your platform, find your media, and tell your story.
I love that.
Thanks, Jeff. You can find me on TikTok, Jamcells, JMSELZ. I'm on the others, but I pretty much just use TikTok for this kind of stuff. Steve, please follow all of us, and we'll make sure you get enough followers you can go live with us and have fun doing that. So obviously, certainly follow Jeff because he's the smartest one of the whole bunch because he has all the science there. It's fantastic. I guess if I were to give a message, it's do resistance training. Like, I know it's sort of a silly thing, but it's what I kind of go back to all the time. Like, I care a lot about mindset, but I also care about that kind of stuff. And so just to pitch 11 o'clock tomorrow, come on and work out with me. It'll be really fun. And then last is I'm very grateful, Sabrina, for having you here or for you having us here. And I'm very grateful for all the folks that are on this. I've been on TikTok for years. I just started posting stuff a month ago, and I feel so connected to so many people already. And I just have this overarching feeling of gratitude all the time, not just for all the weight I've lost and that I lived long enough to get this medication and that I was smart enough to ask for help for the first time. And I just have so much gratitude. And I encourage people to at least spend a few moments at the end of every day thinking about what they're grateful for. It really is a powerful thing to do. And it makes all this stuff worth it.
Beautiful. Leah?
I am Leah on TikTok, Leah from TikTok, on TikTok. I just want to say that my life would not be the same without Sabrina in particular. I wish I knew you in person. I wish you lived right down the street from me because I would give you a hug every single day. And so thank you for everything that you pour into this. And I know it's countless hours of endless, nights, no sleep. And so I just want you to know how much I appreciate you. And then this one feels weird, but I feel really convicted to say it. But I am so grateful for the men on TikTok that are elevating each other up, because there is nothing I love more than men being cute. Like, girls have this innate way of nurturing and just going in and supporting each other, rallying each other up, that like bar bathroom girl mentality. And I don't think enough men have that. And I know that there's a lot of noise in this world that, men are in control or all of these things, but I think that there's such a large group of you that are struggling in silence and alone, afraid to be vulnerable. And so looking at you men in this room, in this chat, I mean, Brian, Mike, Jackson, all these people that really pour into the community and make it okay for men in particular to ask for help, you are going to save lives. Statistically, men die of cardiac arrest far more often than women. These illnesses that go undiagnosed because men don't want to ask for help impact all of us. And so thank you so much for everything you guys are doing to make sure that, like, your bros are taken care of and your bros have a voice and they can be vulnerable for asking for help. and not feeling silly in doing so. So thank you.
That was gorgeous. I'm Virgo JV here on YouTube and on TikTok. I'm mostly hanging out on TikTok, but you can find me there. And I just want to remind everyone that month 6 is about to start very shortly here. And just want everybody to ask themselves one question. We're almost halfway through with the year. What have I done this year to change my life? What decision have I made? If you don't have an answer, now's the time to think of one and to make a plan. Because for many of us, we started this medication and it changed our lives. So we're halfway through the year, make another choice that can change your life.
I love it. Thank you, Jay. I am on, you could find me at Brina_727 on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, but I hang out on TikTok. That's most, everything else just gets cross-posted. But my closing thoughts are just going to be exactly what they always are, right? Find your people. Find your people. It will change your journey. Find the people that resonate with you. I mean, just because we're all on the same class of medication doesn't mean that that's your person. Find the people that you get along with, that align with who you are as a person. Keep showing up. You are worth it. You are worth showing up. Just keep going and trust the meds, trust the process, but most importantly, trust yourself. I love you guys. Thank you to the chat. Thank you to Dave. Thank you to everyone who hung out with us, the panel, everyone. You guys are incredible. I hope you guys join us next time. Bye, everyone.